Hello and welcome. My name's Jessica Rose. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make some chandelier earrings. A lovely project. Lots of lovely designs that you can make with this. So we're going to be using some chain, some beads, a little bit of wire. So what we have today, we've got 0.4mm gold plated wire. You can work with silver plated or copper or whatever you like. I've got a briolette for this design, central briolette, and a selection of crystals, which I'm going to be using. I have some chain, so this is gold plated chain that I have a length of here, and also a couple of ball-ended head pins, which I'm going to be using to make my ear wires from. Then I've just got my plier set, so I've got some flat nose pliers, I have some round nose pliers, I have some side cutters, and I have some chain nose pliers. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is cut a length of my wire to work from. This is going to form the central part of the earring. So if I'm doing two, I'm just going to do one today, but if I'm doing two, everything I do, I'll do it twice. So I'll just do that at the beginning, but I'm just going to complete one. So I do it, it doesn't matter exactly the same length, but approximately the same length to work from. And I've got about 10 centimeters or so there. I'm not going to need all of that, but it just means that I've got some place to work. And I'm going to make a loop at one end. It can help to straighten the wire a bit if it's curved, because I actually don't really want a curve in the wire for now. So it doesn't need to be perfect, but I'm just using my fingers to make it a little bit straighter before I start, because often it's been in a reel, so it kind of gives it more of a curve. And if you have nylon jawed pliers, they can be quite good for straightening wire as well. And then I'm going to do a little loop. So I'm going to place the wire into my round nose pliers, making sure there's nothing coming out the top. And I'm about half a centimetre in. Make a small loop and just twist it round. If I can't get all the way round, I can release the jaw of the pliers, turn it, close it again, and then go in to do the last little section. So I'm going for a nice loop there. Now at this stage I can choose to keep my loops facing upwards, or I can centralize them. If I want to centralize them, I need to put it back in my pliers with the tail coming right out the middle and meeting the end. And then I'm just going to very gently push it against the other side of the pliers until I centralize it a little bit more. Here we go. And then we've got it central. And sometimes that opens up a bit of a gap. So if I want to close that, I just go back in and tuck it. So you can play around with getting really nice loops. Great, so that's one end. Now the next thing I want to do is attach my chain to one end. So I'm going to thread on a piece of chain all the way, and it's going to actually go inside that loop, so I may need to open it slightly to fit it in and close it again. So if we look at our piece that we're going to be working on, we're starting over here. That's where we are. So we want to create this long piece of chain first. So what I like to do is have a look and play around with how long I might want that piece. So you can do it on your mat. So I'm not trying to make it exactly the same as this. It's very difficult to do that unless you count every link. But if I'm making a new pair, I might say, okay, that's approximately the length that I'm going to be going for. So I'm just going to cut that there. And like I said, if I'm making a pair, I would at this stage cut two lengths exactly the same. So how I would do that is placing, this is how I like to cut two lengths exactly the same. Place the end of each one through a piece of wire. Then follow it all the way down. until I get to the other side. And then I know I can see usually I can see the exact link I need to do. Sometimes it's one out, in which case you just cut whichever one you need to down again. But that's a nice little trick, is kind of holding it in one end. And then if I push it all the way down, I can see that they're the same length. Yeah, so that one did come out slightly shorter, so then I would cut this one down a little bit. So that's how I kind of play around with getting the same lengths. But like I said, we're just going to do one for today. So we're going to stick with the one we've got. Okay, so that one's going to hang there. But I also want to do this smaller length in my chandelier earring. So before I do that, I'm going to place on my beads. So I'm going to place on 2 green 3mm bicone crystals, which I've got here. They're sort of greeny, tealy coloured. And of course you can use any beads for your design, but it does work really well with small beads, this particular project. Then I'll place on a length of chain. I'm not worried too much about the actual length of it just yet. I'm going to adjust that. So looks like this so far at the top. Actually, sorry, I need a 3rd bead. Pop my 3rd bead on first. Then goes on my chain. So now I want to work out the length of the smaller piece of chain, and again I just do it by eye, by placing it on the beading mat and seeing the kind of design that I want to go for. So I might say, okay, I want it to be, going to have this in the middle, I want it to be approximately that length. This one's going to be approximately that length, so I might go slightly smaller. Great. Place it on. You may need to bend the wire a little bit to place it on, just to test it out before I commit. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. So I'm going to take it off and I can cut it down. So a lot of this comes down to design choices, you know, how long you want one piece, how long you want another piece. And you can of course measure them using your ruler at the base of your mat if you've got one, or just use a ruler. Like here I can go ahead and measure it and see how long the piece is. So from 15 to 21.5 is 6.5 centimeters there. So if I wanted to create the same project again and again, I would write down my measurements so that I could do that. So now I'm going to thread on a couple more beads. So I've got 2 more for this design. I've got 2 more of these green ones, and then I also have a white AB crystal that goes on. And then I'm ready for my central bead, which is a lovely London blue topaz briolette. Going to place that on, and I work backwards with the design. So white crystal, green, and another green. Now I'm ready to put my chain on. So I'll start with the inner chain, placing that on. Lovely. And I need my 3 beads here. And finally my other end of chain. So at this stage you can still change anything not committed to anything. You could change the lengths of chain if you're not happy with them, so on and so forth. But I'm quite happy with that. It's not the same as the original one, but I'm quite happy with it. So when I'm ready to commit to it, I'm going to create a loop at this end. So I need to cut down my wire, and for a loop we normally say we need roughly about the width of your pinky finger. So I'm just going to cut off a section, or it might be roughly a centimetre. Place the end in my pliers and twist it round, my round nose pliers. And if it goes over, I'm not mad about that. I can keep going and have sort of a bigger loop. And then I'll just go in with my cutters and just snip off the excess. So that is the bottom part of the earrings done. And I'll just show you, we've got a little loop at either end. So now we just need to attach the top chain and your ear wire. So I'm going to grab another piece of chain. So this piece of chain, I generally want it just a little bit longer than this original wire because I'm going for a triangle with it. So I'll test it out. That is the kind of length I'm going for. And I'll cut it. Then I'm ready to attach it onto my 2 loops. So very carefully, without letting the other wires go, I want to open my loop. Thread on the new wire, the new chain. And you don't need to use just this chain that I have. There's all different types of chain available on the market. If you search for silver-plated chains or gold-plated chains, loose chain. And I'm just going to close that off nicely. Then get ready to do the other side. Open it up, pop it in and close. Okay, starting to really come together. So the final piece of the puzzle is my ear wire. We do have videos on how to create ear wires from bits of wire. I'm going to use today a ball-ended head pin because I really like this effect. I think it looks really nice and neat. So I place it in my round nose pliers right at the end because I just want a tiny loop, and I'm just going to push it all the way around to create my first little loop. Then I pop the loop on the top but right down at the bottom, and whichever way my original loop is facing, I want to push the wire the opposite, the other way. So I go round all the way until it touches the original loop at the back. And then I can take it off, and I've got a nice little ear wire there to work with. You can adjust it a bit with your fingers afterwards. Then I want to find the middle link, which is always fun. And I do a little bit of guesswork with this sometimes. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. I think it's one of these two. Let's go for this one. So I'm going to thread it all the way through and down. And I may need to open that original loop at the back just to let it in. There we go. And close it off. You could add a jump ring at the top here as well if you wanted to, but I think it works quite well just straight onto the ear wire. And then you are done. There you have it, your finished chandelier earring. And of course you can make these into a lovely set. They also would quite well for a necklace, kind of central necklace design. And yeah, they're just really beautiful, quite impressive kind of fashion pieces that you can make. So good luck with making your chandelier earrings. Do come and share your makes with us over on the Jewelers Academy Facebook page, or tag us on social media. We would love to see what you make. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we have lots of free jewellery making tutorials and also support for starting and growing a jewellery business. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you on another video very soon. Bye for now.